Welcome to Extremely Valid Points.
We are three business owners and friends who enjoy practical, real-life discussions about business, marketing, and creativity.
Your hosts are Nathan and Jenni Sala, the owners of World Light Media, a digital marketing agency focused on helping organizations grow through online leads.
And Dave Wilkins, the owner of Ellipsis Production Co., a video production company that specializes in creating meaningful content for businesses and nonprofits.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. And along the way, we just might happen to make some extremely valid points.
Thanks for joining us at Extremely Valid Points. Today we are going to talk about a very fun topic, business and marriage. And we're just going to share some candid life experiences between the four of us here. Nathan and I, in case you didn't know, are married. And we've been married for 22 years now. And we are here with our guest, Candice Wilkins.
Hi, everybody.
Who is Dave's spouse. And they've been married 25 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been in business, self-employed, Dave?
He's going to defer to me because he can't remember.
It's why you need a partner in life, whether they're your business partner or.
He started with partners in 2006 when we had a 3-year-old at the time and a 1-year-old. Mm-hmm. And that's when he ventured out from working for others and started working for himself. I'm really not meaning to talk for you. I'm not. It's just that I know you don't remember because I know who was doing what and where we were. Sorry.
That's true.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah, so 16 years.
16 years.
Okay, yeah.
And we've been in business a similar amount of time. When did we start? 2005? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've been 17, I want to say 18, but 17 years as well. Mm-hmm. And our kids were really little when we first started out. Andrew was 1 maybe, and I think I was pregnant with our daughter when we were first starting our own business.
You know, and I don't know if I know very well how you guys started working together. Was that a right away or how
was that the
soon
plan?
Did that happen versus,
I feel like it kind of happened by accident.
Okay.
Although it wasn't really surprising either, because when Nathan and I first met, I remember our very first conversation was we were both talking about how we were creative artists. And that was one of the things that, we really hit it off about us with each other. And so we've always...
It was on my list.
It was on your
list.
list?
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was looking for, who's going to be the one, I had a list. And one of the things on the list was, she's got to be an artist.
And so I did think it was very strange when we first met that I said to him, we were on the ski slopes in Stevens Pass Ski Resort, and it was very cold outside, and I don't remember why, but I just told him, I'm an artist. I just declared that.
Sweet. Which, for listeners, their meet story is the best. I hope you incorporate that into a podcast someday. I tell other people about that story because I love it so much.
It is a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
I'd love to have our daughter tell it one time.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Her version is way more exciting.
Yeah, but and Nathan he's always been a little bit more techie than I am, and I've always been a little bit more I don't want to say professional, but more soft skills, administrative. And so we have a lot in common, but then, we do kind of complement each other in some ways as well. But when we first started out, it was, Nathan was working in tech. I was working in the finance industry for a little while. I was working at a newspaper for a little while. I had a lot of jobs when we were early on married. But I stopped working for a little while when the kids were born. And Nathan started getting little side projects here and there, people asking him to build websites. And I want to say you were doing it on your own for a few years.
Yeah, I think it was two, maybe 3. I think about 2 years.
Yeah.
2007, I think, is when you started part-time helping out because, you needed to do something before I got arrested or thrown in jail because of tax evasion or, doing it wrong. I was like,
I think that
I
is
don't
why
I don't want to do
I
anything.
got
That's
involved.
boring.
I was a little concerned with the bookkeeping and the way things were being invoiced and billed and contracts and that type of thing. And then he also was just getting so busy that he was stressed out and couldn't work or couldn't be present with the family as much. So I started helping out, and it just kind of grew from there.
Well, at the time, you had already you started working part-time for that little church that we were
Oh, I was
going to.
remembering you worked for a
Yes.
church. Yeah.
Yes.
You were the secretary or something?
Secretary turned graphic designer,
Yeah.
turned, I don't know, other things. Ministry overseer.
Yeah, so she
Some
would be
things.
put in creative roles where she was producing creative assets for this church. And I was just noticing, wow, she's actually really good. I had no idea my wife was this talented, artist. And so I poached her. That's what really happened.
Yeah.
It's like, she's not working for you anymore. She's working for me. No, that is not what happened.
But we work for each other now,
We
right?
work with each other.
We work together.
We work near each other.
Well, I think that's what is so great about this conversation is because you guys are working together every single day. We have a different situation in that I do have a full-time work, outside of Ellipsis. But when you're married to a self-employed person, it's your business too, legally and otherwise. So I'm excited to talk about that because it's, probably both of these scenarios are very real for people. Someone also working, supporting their self-employed person, but, couples working together too.
Sure.
And your scenario, even more so, way more common.
Maybe, yeah. But I was going to ask you, when did you come up with the World Light Media and say, did you have an official conversation? Jenni and Nathan are now going to start this business together. They are together, and it's going to be this name. And what's that story?
Great story. My first website was called Nathan Sala Web Designs or something super creative like that. And it was a terrible website. Oh my gosh. But World Light Media came about as I was actually driving through the city of Portland, and I was trying to think of, I started another business that year too. It was a bumper sticker business, which failed heroically.
Did you know this?
Yeah. No, we've talked about
The
that.
bumper sticker business was called Tailgazer.
Yeah, because you're gazing at the tail of a car, get it? But it's like
Trailblazer,
Like-
Or
tailgazer.
tailgater.
and
Tailgater.
tailgater. So
I'm
there's,
sure I've
there's
heard
so
this,
many
but
levels.
I'm not recalling
Yes.
it. I think we
If-
should resurrect.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
Apparently, people don't like bumper stickers
I was going to
anymore.
say, do people even have them? They're like, I'm not going to put that on my Tesla. No, I don't
Yeah.
drive a Tesla, but I'm just saying, I imagine people are.
No,
They don't want to put a sticker on their car.
That's-
No.
that's when I
It's on
learned.
there
Like
for good.
part of a business is you need to create a product that people want, or hopefully even need.
And we'll keep rebuying.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for other pro business
Yeah.
tips.
If you've learned nothing else from this podcast, that's the number one thing. But yeah, so for some reason I just came up with, so I thought of World Light Media as the name for the bumper sticker company.
Oh,
Just because
okay.
The bumper stickers had Christian themes. And so it was World Light was sort of, I don't know why, but
Okay, cool.
it stuck.
Yeah.
Something about it I liked, and it was, I don't know, it's kind of just stuck. I was like,
Yeah.
I like it. And
But so your second question was I think you asked something about did we decide it together or when did, and
Yeah.
I would say for us it was a little bit different in that Nathan it started off with Nathan, and then at some point it became clear that he needed my help. But for the first probably few years, it was Nathan's company that I was helping him with.
I see. Okay.
And then, but I feel like there was a time when Nathan he got to this place where he said I need you in this business, because when when it felt like it was his and I was helping, I wasn't completely 100% in.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I had any ownership in it. I was just helping him. But at some point he decided like he needed me to be all in. And he said to me like, I need, we are 50-50 here.
Good. Yeah.
And that I think was also when, and not to say that the business wasn't growing before I was like part owner, but like when I could show up 100% and feel like everything that I had to offer mattered, and like my thoughts and ideas were going to be valued equally and just as importantly, like, and then we kind of teamed up in a new way. And when we teamed up in that new way, I feel like that was when our business really started to take off. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't dare disagree.
Yeah. No, I think definitely the more involved you are, the better this business gets.
You're so sweet.
Maybe you should be 90 and I should be 10. I don't know.
Well,
just
Nathan
for the sake of the business.
He's definitely an ideas and a visions guy. And I just like, I don't really even know. Everybody asks me, what do you do? And I'm like, what don't I do? I don't know. I don't know how to define one thing that I do, but because I like people. I get excited about projects, about helping execute the vision. But I mean, and I come up with some ideas, some things, he comes up with ideas, he bounces them off me. Some of them stick, some of them don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of them are great ideas.
We've always just been learning and growing. I mean, we had no experience doing anything, like this. And it was just a dream, it has always been my dream, which is kind of why it started with me, but I definitely could only get it so far, and I learned early on, like, you can't do anything alone. You need people, and so I think that's a great lesson for anybody in business to learn, is like, to the degree that you think you can do anything and accomplish anything worthwhile by yourself, then you are deluding yourself, because it can't happen. You need people, and you need to build relationships with people, and it becomes everybody's journey, along the way. So, but I'm excited about the future. Things are going good. So Candice and Dave, what when Dave started his self-employment journey, how did you feel about that? And was it scary? Was it just, you knew it was?
Yeah, we had an experience where Dave was working with another company, and I think just, in that situation, we learned we learned kind of a new.
Basically, I had transitioned from one stable job, which actually they went away anyway, but a transition from one stable job into another one, which I thought, this is going to be great. It was going to be more money, more responsibilities, all these different great things. But it was a small business itself, and it quickly ran into its own challenges and problems. And I realized that what I thought was working for someone else, stable income, stable, position,
good
et cetera,
paycheck.
Realized that wasn't actually the case. That just because you have a job doesn't mean you really actually have security. And so when this opportunity came to partner up with two other friends of mine, I was in a place where I thought, like, okay, I'm willing to take a risk, because essentially that's what I'm doing now. I don't know if I'm going to get paid. I don't know if I'm going to have to, get to create advertising or drive a truck somewhere that they need me to go or something like that. So,
and I think as the spouse, I was like, well, it's not going to get worse than this, so let's go for it.
Because at least you have a little more control.
Control, for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember, though, getting looks from people when we would share the information, like, oh, Dave's decided to go out on his own and, have a partnership. And I think people were a little leery. I don't really know why they would be, but maybe it just didn't come off as secure to people. But, I remember getting some looks like, oh, that's nice. I don't know if you do, but I mean, I did. And just, all right, well, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to try it. And it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because it's like, we had a young family. But on the other hand, I think that's great too, because it's like we're, we weren't used to having any money anyway.
You didn't know what you were missing.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
It's like
yeah.
a small scale thing or whatever, just to, you're young and you're resilient, all those things. So,
I always had a little part-time job working for
Yeah.
my stepdad, and so I had a little bit of income. But another difference is that Dave had partners
Yeah.
for, I guess what are we saying, 13 years, and then has been on his own since 2019. But so that was its own, unique journey too. Of I'm not a partner in the business per se, but Dave has partners, and yet we have our own discussions about how things could go, or how can I support Dave in that. So it's been really an interesting journey. But I would say I really enjoyed the last 3 years when Dave's just been able to kind of do his thing.
well, and I think, an interesting, difference here between us is that, we definitely talk about business things together, but we're not working in it day in and day out like you are. So I don't have that same, another, analogous partner like that, but because you have your job and your career, which is, you're very fulfilled in, all that's going well, and you have another avenue of income for us that allows the ups and downs of the business side of things, which is not always, steady cash flow, it kind of evens that out, which has been helpful for us.
And I would say also one of the things that's been most meaningful in this journey is to have best friends who are also
Yeah.
self-employed. And we've talked about this many times about how it's our own little support group, because it's just not something people understand. Most people who have jobs where they go somewhere and are paid a salary or wages, it's going to be considered steady for them, right? In most cases. But for us, you mentioned the ups and downs. That can be pretty isolating, and it can feel pretty lonely. But we know that when we have conversations about good times and bad times in business, you know exactly what we're going through. And I don't feel judged. I don't feel like less or looked down upon. You're just like, yeah, we've been there. And that just really feels good. I mean, I don't know what you would add to that, but it feels
Yeah.
amazing to have your guys' support for us.
Yeah, just to know, I think it is, you when you have somebody that's like that, understands what it's like going through that, where a lot of times, you always hear like, oh, we'll just follow Dave Ramsey's advice or something like that. And it's like, doesn't always, I mean, I'm sure it works sometimes, but it's like sometimes there's just different factors that are involved in certain things.
You can't use the envelopes when there's no money coming in.
Yeah,
That's true.
Sorry, Dave.
No,
No, not
exactly.
you, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. Oh, right.
But, anyway, that's
Yeah. Well, God bless Dave Ramsey.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
always do. We went through Dave Ramsey 4 times because we just kept thinking,
We just kept trying.
Yeah.
we're going to get this right. We're going to get this right. And I think we figured it out. And I think, Dave Ramsey principles are absolutely like great lessons and great, if you can follow them, they will give you that financial security you
Right.
need. For us, I felt like a better book for us was the Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I felt like that was my Dave Ramsey. So anybody who hasn't listened to or read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, I highly recommend that if you're a business owner working on getting your finances in order. Definitely helped us. And it's kind of like an envelope system, sort of. But it is, it's a way to make sure you get paid and a way to properly scale your business by the way you manage money. But yeah, I agree, Dave. I think it is really great to feel normalized when you are experiencing those ups and downs of businesses. A lot of times people present themselves as really successful in business and many times they are. But like, I think this is one thing that people don't ever really like to talk about is like, the difficult times that you experience, cash flow problems. And it is a really, really, the more we actually have real conversations with people, the more we learn. It's really a common thing to go through as a business owner.
Yeah, because if you just look at the math, most businesses fail. It's just a statistical truth. That
Yeah.
It's odds are your business will fail.
And, going back to the bumper sticker thing, okay, we counted, and I think it was John Maxwell who said, for every 10 businesses you try, one will succeed. And World Light Media, its modern day version, is Nathan's 10th business venture.
I know a thing or two about failure. Yeah, that was in the book Failing Forward.
Yeah.
He was he cast a new light on the stat that 9 out of 10 businesses will fail, and he said that's good news to me because all that means is all I have to do is start nine businesses.
Yeah.
10 businesses, 10 businesses, the 10th one will work.
Right.
And it was funny just because one day we did count.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I had struck out 9 times. and this one, it was it wasn't all,
Overnight success.
right. It's like, yeah, you work hard, blood, sweat, and tears for a decade or two, and then you're an overnight success,
Yes, yes, for sure.
Well, let me ask you guys too, because you both work in the same business, if you guys have challenges, like maybe you're not seeing eye to eye on something like that, how does that work for you guys in your relationship? Are you taking that home?
Yeah, after hours.
Yeah.
Do you unplug? Do you put it aside? Do you call a timeout? And
It is really hard for us to ever kind of turn off the two at this point.
yeah.
And I would say early on when we first started working together, we did butt heads a lot. We had a lot of conflict.
Can't say but.
That would kind of leak into professional settings, which was, our office where we worked.
Which was also our other bedroom at our house, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We had, 2 desks in there and we worked together, and there was a lot of things we had to work out. I would ask him a question and he would be like, hey, I'm focusing, I'm coding. And I would be like, but I need to know about this and that. And he's like, I'm working right now. And, just little things like that. But so little things about respecting each other's boundaries, but then also, the stress of financial situations and decisions we had to make and things like that. Over time, I think we've learned how to trust each other more, because I think in the beginning, a lot of it was not trusting each other's judgments and abilities, and knowing, that's a whole different area to navigate. And we had been married probably 7 years when we first started working together. And so we, in our relationship and in our marriage, we had a lot of things worked out at that point. But then we had this just whole new level of relationship we had to grow in. And not to say that we still don't every once in a while have disagreements about things relating to business or have an argument while we're at work, which never feels good. I never have a good day if we've gotten into an argument. And it's just because it just seeps into everything. And so I know not a lot of people could do it. And I've actually had a lot of people ask us, how can you be married and be in business together? There's just no way my spouse and I could do that.
And I always answer, it's because of Jenni. Jenni's amazing, as you guys
she is
know.
amazing. I know.
And when we go on date nights, we talk about business. And I don't know, we just like it. I like it, or maybe Jenni just does it because she knows I like it. But
No, I like
it's fun.
It's something we have to talk about. I don't know.
And one thing that's unique in our journey, and you are also in this boat too, is but some people in our audience might not share this, but our faith is a huge part of our story. We believe it's one of our core philosophies is just stick it out and keep going, keep trying. If you fall down and get back up, you just keep going. And we believed, like you said in our last week's episode, what you do is your calling, and that helps you, because Jenni asked, how do you do it? And I think that is part of that gives us strength when we feel like this is who we are. This is part of why we're on this planet. We believe that we are supposed to be doing this. And so it helps us to, rather than throw in the towel or when things get hard, especially starting when like there's no money coming in, sometimes for months, and we have small children and, bills.
Right.
It was,
It was a challenge.
it's a challenge for not only a business, but for a marriage and for a family
Absolutely.
and life in general. But I would definitely credit our faith and just God's grace to how we survived and endured that.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting when we'll go out on date night. We'll still talk about our individual, work lives and things too. So but that's we're kind of filling each other in on what we don't know, where you guys maybe are carrying on that conversation, I guess. But yeah.
I was thinking about one of the things that is important, and that I know I experience is just I don't haven't really even an interest in doing what Dave does or partnering with him professionally, but I'm enamored by him and the work that he gets to do. And so that's really exciting for me to hear about it. I think that what I've been able to prioritize is his happiness. And I guess maybe sounds a little too simple. His fulfillment and him being able to do something that he really enjoys that can provide for our family. And I remember hearing when we were starting out this journey about another situation where, there was maybe a lot of pressure on a certain spouse to, bring that income in. And I just remember saying to myself, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be that person. I can work if we need to. I can, that just seems like a really not fun existence for this person that I love, And so I think you would probably agree that I've just never, I do want to know how much money we have, but I don't, I'm not ever saying like, when is this coming in or feeling frustrated. I mean, it's good for me just to know. And likewise, we share that information and, manage all the different, household finances in that way. You guys have a different way of doing that because you're both working in the same place. But I just always have been able to prioritize just Dave feeling good about himself. And I mean, trust me, he's hard on himself just naturally as a business owner and as a creative person, right? So I don't want to add to that and put pressure on him. And I hope we too make time to just talk about what we're teaching our children about running businesses, so at some point. But I don't know if you would add anything to that, but I know I've told you that story many times.
Right. Yeah, I do. I'm very, very thankful that, there's not that extra outside pressure. And it could be, such where it's like, because you're not in the business, where I could feel like, well, you just don't understand if that was the case or something like that. But I feel like you don't even feel like you have to understand all the ins and outs or be involved in all that stuff, but because you trust, I feel like, you see the work that's been put into it, and that it doesn't always equate right away with success or all these different things, right? And again, I think maybe going back to what we talked about in our last episode about, just your own personal fulfillment, you're not having to cross over, we're not crossing over into each other's lives and trying to manage or move the pieces around in order to make ourselves feel better about our situations or anything like that. So
I want to add one other point too, because I'm thinking about how hard you all work and the long days that you put in. And now that I'm in a management role in my position, I'm putting in a lot of hard, long hours too. But I think that one of the things I haven't ever really taken issue with is the amount of time you have to put into your business. And I think that has a lot to do with my exposure to small business owners when I was a young person.
Yeah.
My first job, I think, gosh, how many of my first jobs were for small business owners and actually couples running businesses together very similarly. And I saw, these people work hard and all the time. My stepdad was a CPA. He was, involved in his business. I mean, this man was working during tax season, all hours of the night, literally. And, I saw the benefit of that too, but I just always felt like that's just what you do when you have a business. And again, I don't need to put any extra pressure on Dave to be home to, help me with X, Y, and Z. I'm with the kids. Babe, I've got the kids. don't worry, pull an all-nighter, which is harder now because we're old.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But yeah, that always just really gelled good for us. I felt like that was just, we were very fortunate to be able to just, we're both hard workers, work long hours, and that was just always okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that can be a strain on a marriage when, your spouse isn't around. But I do see with you guys, I've seen that, there's ebbs and flows and there's seasons of the business when you have to put in the long hours. But then there's also going to be a season where you guys are going to go on some amazing vacation to Cancun, Mexico, and lay on the beach and really enjoy your life and enjoy all your hard work.
Yes.
And I know that Dave is present with his kids because I've seen that. So just want to put that in for the record.
For sure. Yeah.
But these are definitely things that, in business can put strain on a marriage and a family. And there's definitely a balance. And I really appreciate, Candice, how you, since empathy is your number one strength, are able to kind of tap into that when you're understanding, what Dave's dealing with running his own business. It's good.
I think that's great too. Because you made the choice to say, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to support my husband in this way. And when you think about it, like 200 years ago, when I think either 25 or 75% of all Americans, in our very young country had the occupation of farmers. It was almost like couples running a business.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing. And there are seasons in that world where you are going to be working hard,
Right.
and with nothing to show for it, really. And you can't do anything to speed up how fast crops grow.
Yeah.
If you don't work hard, you don't eat.
But there was an understanding too, and maybe it was more prevalent in the culture that people just realized, well, this is what it takes. This is what you have to do. And so now there's more of a need to really make that choice and say, okay, well, sometimes it's going to be like this. It's not always going to be like this, but sometimes it's going to be, my spouse or, my wife or my husband, whoever is the business owner trying to make it work, is going to have to do some things that are outside of the scope of a 9 to 5. It's going to be like a 9 to Tuesday.
For sure.
I do think that's so important in just a success story of, Jenni and I also really, especially Jenni in those early years, she was very open-minded and willing to, support. I think you made that choice too, just to be supportive and not be that person like, no, you'll never make it, or whatever.
Well, I didn't need to tell you what bills needed to be paid. You knew that. So, what good was it going to do for me to put more pressure on you? Like, and men, I think in general, like want to provide. And, I think a lot of their self-identity is like wrapped up in their ability to provide for their family. And I knew how hard he was working. And so, definitely doesn't do any good for me to nag him about a bill that needs to be paid. It would only hurt the situation more.
True.
Yeah. But, one thing that I think has been great as we have been business owners is our ability to kind of create our own schedules. Sometimes we have to work till midnight, but also, we've been able to take our kids to things and be present with them. And, like when our kids were little, we were working from home and, I would work when they were napping or, that type of thing. But I was able to really be present with them more than a typical 9 to 5 job would allow. And so that was a real blessing in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And us having Dave being self-employed was really, our goal was for me to be home, for a period of time until the kids got to a certain age. And we were able to do that. And he would work from home if needed. I think we had different varying schedules, each year.
Right.
But I thought it was amazing that he would, work from home one day a week, which he probably was just watching the kids, but we called it work from home. I mean, but it was because, it's 3 kids. And then I would go to, my stepdad's office and work for a full day. And, I wasn't really doing the work I'm doing now at that point, but we sat down and I don't know if we sat down officially, but, we really were in the practice of reviewing what are our values. Our values are to try to make it in this certain income bracket and be home with our kids and try to be on your own, be your own boss so that we can have some flexibility. And, it wasn't easy all the time. We made it work. And we've had this conversation a lot. Would we have done it differently if we could do it over? And I don't think we would.
Yeah. I think
Even
you're
through
probably
the
right.
ups and downs of the finances, which is really, I think, a reason a lot of people maybe don't go into business is
Sure.
because you don't have that for sure paycheck. But I just think it's, even now I would say it's been worth it. And our kids are 14, 17, and 19. And really we're, transitioning into this, as you guys are, this next season. And I'm very grateful for what we've had and what we continue to have.
So do you have any advice to other spouses out there who are married to a self-employed person?
We kind of talked about this on the last episode, and I would just say, really be self-reflective on what are the needs that you're having. What is there something that is not fulfilled within you that you can work towards? Is it a communication? Is it where are your values? Are they aligning with your spouse? Check in with yourself first, right? Because we can't really go to our spouse with problem-solving strategies if we don't really know what's going on. And maybe that's talking with a trusted friend, having a good therapist. But I think it's really important to give yourself permission to say, what are my needs? Are they being met? Is there something unreasonable about that? Or no, I need to just, press on in this and communicate this with my spouse. And then really just make sure that you're open to having that communication and hearing where you might not be, maybe everything that your partner needs, your spouse needs, and being willing to make some adjustments there. Because, the goal hopefully is success for everyone, right? Success for the business owner, success for you as a human being and your children, your family, your home life. But it's not going to happen without hard work. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take a lot, whether it's the business person working late hours, the communication, working on yourself, and just really having that willingness to want to work together as a team to be successful, and then enjoy that. So I don't know if you would add.
Well, I would just say that you as a spouse, you are like a part of the team.
Yeah.
You're a part of the success of the business because you are allowing me to take a weird time frame to do something and then maybe then be off at this other time, just being willing to go, okay, well, maybe this bill's gonna have to wait for now, and not get stressed out, obviously we're all gonna get stressed, but
I'm having a memory of when you were traveling during your birthday one time, and so we did like a Skype call and still baked him a cake, and the kids were little then. And so we, Skyped and had the cake and sang to him. And, it was a really neat time. I didn't have a full-time career, so I could do that and not feel like it was too much for me, I think. We certainly missed Dave and, knew that it wasn't ideal. We'd like to have him home. I think he missed our daughter's birthday a couple times in January when he was doing some traveling. But you know what? We just said this is the way it is, and we're not upset about it. We might be sad but we're accepting, and we're going to be okay.
That's good.
yeah, absolutely.
What do you guys think your kids have learned by watching you do this amazing work the past 17 years?
I think that, especially when I look at our daughter, I think that she just kind of already has that entrepreneurial makeup in her.
Mm-hmm.
Just that she, and whether or not she uses it is totally up to her. No pressure. I have no expectations about what she'll do or be. And of course, I think it'd be great if she'd take over the family business at some point, but that's totally up to her. I want her to do what she loves, but I think that they see how hard we work. And, I think we're in a new season of life right now where it's gotten a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. But there were, when we first started out, not even when we first started, halfway in, Nathan was driving around a clunker car that had no air conditioning and the window wouldn't roll down so that, we could hire another employee. And,
Right.
and keep trying to grow the business. And we were living in a small house, and we were investing in the business and cutting back in our personal life. And, there were times when we had to like make those types of sacrifices and just, I would just say like live less than our means, probably. We could have spent more, but it probably wouldn't have helped us in the long run. And now I think we're in a new season of life. And my hope is that my kids can see that, we stuck with it, we worked hard, and now we're able to enjoy things a little bit more than we could before. But even then that, your happiness isn't found in possessions or stuff or experience, but that, relationships are the most important thing. And I think, especially with COVID and everything, and even before COVID, people were talking about side hustles. And I just kind of think in general, our world is kind of evolving into this place where we're understanding the importance of work-life balance, and that, having a job that's fulfilling is important, but having a really balanced home life is important too. And hopefully our kids have learned that from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would just add that, I don't know what they have learned, I couldn't say, but what I would hope that what they would learn. And one thing that I try and emphasize a lot is just go for what your dream is, whatever it is that you feel like you were put on this earth to do. Try to make that work and go after that. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be hard, guaranteed. But do it anyway, because it's like you said, it's not the money that's fulfilling. It's doing what doing work that you feel is important. There's a fulfillment. That's the reward, the fulfillment that you feel when you do what you love. And so I think that's all any parent would want for their kids, right? Is that they grow up to be, they would feel that they're personally fulfilled in life. They feel contentment and happiness with what they're doing, and that I don't think that's possible to happen unless you're contributing to society in a productive way. So I think that's it kind of checks all the boxes in terms of being successful in that one little area.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like too, we've really been given this opportunity to like normalize failure for our kids. Like, this is
totally.
It's part of the journey, and it's okay. And in fact, you're learning a lot about what it means to be a human being by failing. And by the way, and I heard what you guys are saying, and I would add for you, because I know you, is that they can pursue their dreams and their hopes and work hard with your support, right? You cheering them on. And having that confidence in them when they maybe don't have it within themselves. I think it's going to be really cool to see, what all the kids do. And we too would love for somebody to take over Dave's business. Not looking good, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the thing too is I want them to understand and know that if they have a passion or something that they really want to do, that they can put, if you put the work in, you can make it happen. It may not look exactly like you think or whatever. You may have to, find how that works in the world. But you can have an idea or a passion or something and follow that and make that work for you in your life, rather than be to say like, well, that's just a pipe dream and I'm gonna have to just do something that I just to get by.
And then I would say too, and choosing a partner, whether you go into business together or not, that's really wants you to succeed and is also an encouraging cheerleader. And I think that's important too.
Absolutely. Well, I think this has been a delightful episode.
Very fun.
Yeah, I hope others enjoy it as well. We'd love to hear your feedback or your comments. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook or through our website at extremelyvalidpoints.com. And once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for spending time with us at Extremely Valid Points Podcast. To learn more about this episode, see our show notes at extremelyvalidpoints.com. Be sure and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram at EVP_podcast.
If you need help with your video for your business or nonprofit, connect with Dave at ellipsispro.co.
And if you need help with digital marketing, Nathan and Jenni can be found at worldlightmedia.com.
Or feel free to send us an email at questions@extremelyvalidpoints.com. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time.